This video is on Linux, and I will also be demonstrating some useful Linux commands. Linux is a Unix clone, so first let's understand what is Unix. Unix is an operating system which was first developed in 1960s. When we say operating system, it means the suite of programs which make the computer work. Unix operating system is a stable, multi-user, multitasking system for servers, desktops, and laptops. Unix operating system also have a graphical user interface, GUI, similar to Microsoft Windows, which provides us easy-to-use environment. There are many different versions of Unix, although they share common similarities. Most common varieties of Unix are Sun, Solaris, GNU Linux, and Mac OS X. Windows 10 supports Windows subsystem for Linux. Unix operating system is made up of three parts: kernel, shell, and programs. Kernel of Unix is the hub of the operating system. It allocates time and memory to programs and handles the file store and communications in response to system calls. The shell is a command line interpreter. It acts as an interface between the user and the kernel. It interprets commands the user types in and arranges for them to be carried out. So the shell and the kernel work together. Suppose a user types mv to move a file. The shell searches for the file containing the program mv, which is moved, in the file store, and then requests the kernel through system calls to execute the program move mv to move a file. When the process moving the file has completed, the shell then returns the Unix prompt $symbol on the terminal, indicating that it is now ready for the next command from the users. Terminal is the command line interface, which is text input and output environment that allows users to type input to the computer and also allows users to see output from their programs. Commands that you type in the terminal are the programs. Now let's move to the Linux. Linux is Unix-like operating system. It is an open source, free-to-use operating system. It is also evolving rapidly in compared to other operating systems. Linux is there in any hardware platform you can name, from your mobile phones to supercomputers. It runs on Android and your iOS, iPhones and tablets, smart TVs, Roku set-top boxes, and even to Tesla electric vehicles. It has a great community support, so you can get help from any web forums if necessary. It is more secure and has rich multi-user environment, advanced functionality, flexibility, and portability. So it is the operating system of supercomputers by choice. Now let's understand the Unix command line. Command line is a text interface to your computer. It is always there in Linux and also in Windows. In fact, the GUI, graphical user interface, in Windows runs completely on top of the command line. Command line was there in the past and it will remain for foreseeable future. Therefore, once you learn the command line script, you are good for a long time. In SPC, jobs need to run for a long time without users' interaction. So, command line is common in running jobs on SPC resources. You just submit your job, put it in the background, log off, and you can come back later to check the status. Most bioinformatics software runs on command line because command line scripts are easier to write, automate, and call from other scripts such as Perl, Python, R, and others. Now let's see how you can connect to a remote Linux server. For that, you need a terminal. In Windows PC, you can download PuTTY for a terminal. Google PuTTY and download it. I will provide a link to download PuTTY in the description below. After download, double-click the putty.exe file, enter the host name or IP address for the server and port 22. Then you need to enter your user ID and password. If all went through, you will see Linux command prompt as seen here. In Mac or Linux computer, open terminal. If you don't see it in the dock, go to Launchpad or Applications and find it. You can also search for the terminal application. Type SSH username and @ symbol followed by server name or IP address. Here I am using IP address. Enter your password and if all went OK, you will see Linux commands prompts as seen here. It is important to note that you will always be inside a single directory when you open a new terminal. That default directory is your home directory. Home directory contains files and directories that only you can modify. To see what files and directories are in your home directory, you need to use the ls command. The ls command, this command lists the contents of a directory. You see a dollar symbol, and that is the Unix command prompt. Note that the command prompt might not look the same on different Unix systems. After the ls command finishes, it produces a new command prompt ready for you to type your next command. You can also list the files in the root. The root directory is the top level directory, or it is the parent directory for all Linux system files. Directories are same as folders. In Windows PC, in graphical user interface, we say folders, but here in command line we call directories. To list the files of root directory, type ls space /. You might notice some of the names appear in different colors. Many Unix systems will display files and directories differently by default. Please remember, when you log into the computer, you are typically placed in your home directory, which is often inside a directory called users or home. In Mac OS terminal, the home directory is inside user, while in Linux terminal, the home directory is inside home. There may be hundreds of directories on any Unix machine. So how do you know which one are you in now? The command pwd will print the working directory. It prints the path of your working directory. Here, the / refers to the root directory. The home directory has many user accounts or personal directories. Home directory is inside the root directory. If you want to make a new directory, you can use the command mkdir. mkdir space edu. So we are making a new directory called edu here. If you are in a home directory on the computer, but you want to move to the new directory which you just made, edu, then you need to change the directory. For that, the command is cd. Here we do cd space edu. And when you type pwd, it will print the working directory as shown here. Now let's create a new subdirectory called lecture and navigate into it. For that, type a command mkdir space lecture. To move into that directory, type cd space lecture. Then to print the path, type pwd. It will show you the path. It will show you the absolute path of that directory. Path could be absolute path or relative path. The absolute path always starts with the root directory, which is the /, and fully specifies the location of the file or directory. Whereas in relative path, it doesn't start with the root directory. It is always relative to the current working directory. To move upward from subdirectories to the parent directory, you need to type cd space .. cd space .. When your current directory is somewhere else, and if you want to move back to your home directory, you just need to type cd. Also, cd space $sign do the same thing. cd space / will take you to the root directory. And if you want to come back, type again cd. The command ls space -alh lists each files and directories with permission status, file ownership, and modification times. The D at the start of each line indicates that these are directories, followed by read, write, and execute permissions for the file owners, group owners, and all other users. Every Unix command has an associated manual that you can access by using the man command. For example, here you can type man space ls. It will show you the information, the manual regarding that command. When you are using the man command, press space to scroll down a page, B to go back a page, or Q to quit. You can also use the up and down arrows to scroll a line at a time. You can remove empty directories using rmdir command. If the directories are not empty, then mkdir command will not work. You can type rm space -r space your folder name. The -r here means recursive. The Unix command touch will let us create a new empty file. The touch command does many other things too. Here we just use touch to create new empty files. So let's make two files, touch heaven.txt, touch earth.txt. So we are creating two files, one heaven.txt, other one earth.txt. Moving files. You can use mb command to move files. To move a file, you need to use mb command and source and then destination. To move a files in a batch, you can use wildcard character asterisk or question mark. To rename a files, you can also use the same mb command. You can also move or rename whole directories with files. To remove a directories with files in it, you can use rm command. But you have to mention -r option, that means it's recursive. If you use -i option, then it will ask permission before removing all the files. Just like moving files, you can also copy files from source to destination. For that, the command is cp. The cp command with -r option will allow us to copy the entire directories with files in it. You can display some content using echo command. Here I am typing echo call me Mr. Awesome, so it will be printed in the terminal. If you don't want to view the text in a terminal, then you can save it in a file. Here in an example, I am typing echo call me Mr. Awesome and saving it in a file called opening lines.txt. You can view the file's content using more command or less command. You can also use cat command to view the file. If you want to edit the text files, then you can use nano command. Here I am typing nano command to open the file and also to edit the file. If you want to view the first few lines of a file, then you can type head -n and give a number of lines and a file name. If you want to view the last few lines, then you can use tail command. If you want to view the first few lines with no header, then use tail -n+2 and give a file name. One of the most powerful features of Unix is that you can send the output from one command or program to the other program as long as the second command accepts input. For that, we use pipe. Here in the example, I type head clinical.tsp and then second command is word count -l. So first program is head clinical.tsp and it's the output of that will be the input for the second command, that is word count -l. It will give me line count number 10. You can also use grep command to source specific patterns and use it to count the number of lines. Here in the example, I will grep the female patients from clinical.tsp data and then I will use it to display the number of lines. I can also use cut, sort, and unique to capture the specific feature of the data. Conda is an open source package management system and environment management system that runs on Windows, Mac operating system, and Linux. It quickly installs, runs, and updates packages and their dependencies. It easily creates, saves, loads, and switches between environments on your local computer. So, as a package manager, Conda helps you find and install packages. If you need a package that requires different versions of Python, with just a few commands, you can set up a totally separate environments of different versions of Python. Now let's download the latest version of Miniconda using wget command. You can also check the web link to make sure that the version you are downloading is correct one. Once the download is complete, you see the shell script file with sh extinction. Run the shell script from bash to install. Use source command as shown here if you want the script to change the environment of the shell. Then in Conda, add BioConda channels and Conda force. Now it's so easy to install the software. You just need to know the name of the software. Here I am doing Conda Install FastQC. It simply installs a program called FastQC that is widely used to visualize the quality of next-gen sequencing data. To transfer files between your server and your personal computer, you can download FileZilla client or WinSCP. I will provide a link to download FileZilla in the description below. Once you open your FileZilla, please enter your host name and your user ID and your password and port 22 and click connect. And by simply dragging your files, you can transfer the files between server and your personal computer.